Hello, Isagenix. It's great to have everybody with us. I know that we have people tuning in from all over the world. Thank you for tuning in to isagenixlive.com for the latest Start Talk. And I have the honor to bring on, these guys are, not only are they Start ambassadors, but they are actually the newest, yes, I said the newest, Isagenix millionaires, number 159. Pretty awesome. Ross and Danny Thompson, what's happening?
Hey guys!
Hi guys.
Excited to be here.
So how does it feel to be the newest Isagenix millionaire?
It's kind of surreal. It's really awesome though. It like makes me happy.
Yeah, I agree. It's totally surreal, unbelievable. It's awesome.
Well, we love you guys, and you guys are just such an amazing example. And now, how long have you been with Isagenix?
4 years.
Just came up on 4 years.
4 years, so $1 million in 4 years. Not too shabby.
No.
Not too bad.
No, it's all right. We'll take it.
And I think one of the coolest things is somebody that you enrolled, Kayla Kraft, actually went millionaire before you did.
Yep.
Yes.
Is that like the beautiful thing about this?
It's honestly, it's funny you said that, because that's one of the things that really affirmed my belief in the company and in the compensation plan. Because I don't know, like, whoever's listening, you always have those things in the back of your mind where you're like, but really, and then people say things and you start to listen to the noise. But when somebody that you enroll passes you up and makes more money than you do, you go, okay, I'm in, sign me up. And I told everybody, I was like, dude, there's not, what pyramid? This is so cool. It's great.
And I think it's like, as cool as it is to hit a milestone in your own business, if somebody that you enrolled or in your downline hits a milestone, it's better.
Way better.
I mean, for me at least, and for us, like when Chase and Kayla or whoever, when they've hit those types of milestones, we're just like, we're pumped. And when we hit it, it was just amazing, but it's almost like unbelievable for us and for our family, and so it's always just been greater when somebody else has done it for us.
That's the best. Well, that's actually a perfect lead into kind of the first question. So, and for those of you tuning in, thank you for tuning in. We do these Start Talks on the first Monday of every month, and it's really to get into the minds and figure out and really learn from the Start ambassadors, a lot of the people who are really leading this age demographic from 18 to 35. And find out what they're doing that's working, maybe some things that hasn't worked for them that they've learned from, and really, hone in on the great habits that are producing great results. And so, kind of our first question, we are 2 weeks away from the biggest event that we've ever had in our history. We are expecting 13,000 people at Celebration. I mean, this bad boy is going to be off the charts. We're in full prep mode now. And I know your guys' first celebration was 4 years ago, and I love what you touched on about watching other people, that you've gotten started with Isagenix having even more success than you're having, and how rewarding that is. And I think the greatest feeling, like in the world, is like bringing people to a celebration or an ICU and sitting in the seats and like watching them get it. Like there's nothing better than that. So
I agree.
What would you tell, or what are you telling, how many people do you have coming to Celebration, first off?
I think like 600 and change.
600 and change?
Yeah.
Well,
the first time there were 5 of us, so we're like happy with that.
That is, I mean, that's just the power of events. Obviously, your first ever event, you had 5 people there. Now you're going to have over 600 people at the celebration. So, for anybody new listening in on the call, what advice would you give them as far as like taking the most away from Celebration? Like how are you instructing those 600 people to get the most out of the event?
So the first thing I would say is I always tell people, hey, I set them up for exactly what they're going to experience. And I say, look, there's a bunch of happy people, and so you might be a little bit overwhelmed, but just like take all judgment aside and just open your mind. So be prepared to have your mind open for 3 days, and then make the judgments afterwards and decide what you like and what you didn't like. That's all good. But for those 3 days, be all in. And then I tell my up-and-coming leaders, I tell them every single training that you are going to listen to, you're going to have to come home and train on. So you need to be taking notes like that. You need to be paying attention like that. There's no charging cell phones in the hallway. I mean, you have to be so vested in this because I'm a prime example. Ross didn't get to go with me the first time because we didn't know. Somebody just told me to go, so I was like, okay.
I didn't know what was going on.
So I went, with a couple of my friends, and it changed our lives. So when I explain that to them, and I say, look, this is going to be a very pivotal moment in your life, not your career, not this summer, not your 20s, like in your life, like you're gonna make a turn here. So be all in that regard. But another thing, just like some tangible things that you guys can do is when you're getting your teams together, focus on doing team dinners, focus on getting together at night and talking about it all. And because most people come into this company and they're blown away by the sense of community. We have great products, we have an amazing compensation plan, but the friends that you make and the family that you create through it, that's what keeps people around. Mm-hmm. So as leaders, and if you opened a business center, you're a leader. Sorry, but that's what it is. So you have to act like it. Do that and start talking to people. I love in the start group when they're like, hey, does anybody want to grab dinner before the party and all that. That's huge. So that's what we really focus on.
Yeah, I mean, she said it all. I think it's just people try to, they're like, oh yeah, I've watched this video and that video. I kind of understand what it's about. I'm like, no, you don't. If you haven't been to an event, you don't understand. Like getting somebody to an event is the difference between their success and not a lot of times.
Yes.
Because you can't even, it's almost an intangible that it really brings to where you're going. It's like experiencing a culture that I think no other company has. So getting somebody to an event and like you said, you're just sitting there looking at them and they're looking at you and then you're looking at them and then by the end of the event they're like like trying to run on stage and stuff and you're excited because you're like you're looking at them going, I get it. Like I totally understand what you're excited about. And like there's nothing better than that. So for us, it's just about getting them in the door, and then the event takes care of itself. And as long as you're being the leader, like you're making sure you're on time and you're like in your seat and you're not like just sitting there texting and trying to recruit people on Facebook and all that stuff during the event, like turn your phone off, just experience the event and like have fun. And that's really as simple as it gets. It's like the greatest tool because Isagenix puts all the work in for you and all you have to do is plug your people into it.
Perfect. Love that. And you're so right. I mean, it's so funny to watch like brand new people come in like the first day and they're like all timid and like what the heck is going on, and then by day 3 they're doing like belly slams with people and like they're just all jacked out of their minds. It's the best.
Exactly. It's fun.
So okay, so next question. You guys are obviously a very dynamic, incredible couple that are building together. But I know that it wasn't always kind of that way. I know, Danielle, you were kind of the first person to really kind of take the reins on Isagenix. And that's, most people's scenario. And, I mean, let's face it, women rule in network marketing. And most of the time it is the woman who gets involved first. And sometimes the spouse is supportive. Sometimes they're not so supportive. Can you, Danielle and Ross, just kind of maybe Danielle first, talk about the importance of getting your spouse involved, and maybe what's the way that you went about getting Ross involved, and what like totally changed for you as soon as you got him involved and started to support, and maybe what's some advice you can give to people that maybe they haven't involved their spouse yet, or they're dealing with a spouse that's maybe not as supportive, or they don't really know their place yet. They want to support, but they're not really sure what to do. What would you guys kind of say to that?
Yeah, so Ross, when I got started first, and we didn't even talk about this, but let's just say what it is, because it is what it is. He made fun of me and was like, "Oh, what are you gonna do? Oh, cute, go girl." And me and Kayla were like, "Okay, no, that if somebody tells me no, it's just watch out, world, because I'm doing it." And yeah, so that's what we went into. He was not supportive. He wasn't like anti, but he wasn't like supportive. And it didn't take him long at all, because all of a sudden we had this additional income stream where he just went, and when I say income stream, I'm not saying like, oh, we made $10,000. I'm talking 50, like a cycle, like $54. But to us, $54.11 was huge, like game changer huge. That meant we could have a date night, huge. Like that was great for our marriage, huge, like big stuff, you know? So that he paid attention to. And then when it started growing, and then we were making $200 a month, and it's like, okay, we can pay for our products, and you know, the grocery budget is a little bit better. So those little things kind of started giving him like a little bit of belief, and he's going, okay, all right, this is interesting. When he came on full-fledged with me, I think we were right around 4-star, and I had a hard time with it just because I like to be in control a little bit. I always have been. I'm very independent, and so it was like, "What are you doing? This is my business," you know. And he's like, "I want to help," and he was great about it. But I didn't know how to. I thought I should bring him in like a new consultant and teach him how to do it. And when I finally just let go, I mean, this guy soared. He went, because we do things completely differently, and you'll hear that in some of the questions that you guys were asking. We were going through, and we had completely opposite answers, but it works. It works really well for us. And when he came in and I let go, and that was at a point where I was just honestly really tired. I was really tired. I was pregnant with our second kid. I'd been busting my butt, having great success in the company, but I was tired. And he came in and did an overhaul and literally ran us to 8-star in a very short amount of time. And it was crazy. It was really cool, though, because he was in his element, because he was leading, because, you know, guys like to lead. And I was just thrilled because I was getting great sleep. So it was like this really nice way of it happening. Now, it wasn't all roses. Like he would get into, I mean, I'm not kidding, like in my back office, I'm like, what are you doing? Don't run that report. I know, no, we run that report on Tuesdays. Don't run it on a Monday. You know, things like that. But when I really just conceded and just said, you know what? Go for it. Just, what's it going to hurt? He started. I mean, clearly he went for it. So let your spouses in and just build them up along the way. Give them the tools and say, go, baby, go.
Yeah, I remember when she first started, and I was like, I had a bad experience with a guy that was trying to get me involved in another company, and just wasn't it wasn't the right fit, you know, and you know, it made me, when she started, I automatically went there. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people. But then when she started to have some success, I realized that the money aside, I mean, that was a big deal for us, like she said, but the money aside, there was just something different. It was just a different culture, a different mentality. It was really positive. And it was about when she was, you know, she hit maybe 5-10 cycles for the first time, that I was like, I was the supportive husband, right? I was like, that's what everybody says, like in Isagenix. They're like, oh yeah, this is my business, and then I have my husband, he's so supportive. But like my encouragement is to a husband, like, yeah, be supportive. That's number one. Like that's really huge. But like go further, you know, like be the business partner.
Yes.
And I think a lot of guys are just like, I'm the backgrounds guy, you know. And it's like, you don't need to be the backgrounds guy. You can be in a different role and it's literally the funnest thing ever. And so it was like, yeah, like she said, she hit 4-star, and I think it was between 3 and 4 to where I went. Like, I remember just having a conversation with Kelly Dickerhoof, and she was kind of mentoring me, and because we have a really similar personality, and she was talking to me about strengths and weaknesses, and we were just listing out my strengths and weaknesses, and then Danny's. And I remember just going, they're so different. And all of a sudden I had this like realization, like, just because we're spouses and we're running the same business doesn't mean that we have to do things identical. And so I went like, oh, I can totally, it freed me up. Like I was like, I can totally be myself and do what I like, my natural abilities I felt were, and it would benefit us the same more. You know what I mean? And then it relaxed her, because she wasn't like, hey, this is what you need to do, and then you're getting kind of caught up in the little things. And so I was just like, hey, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to figure it out. And so I was all in, motivated, and since then it's been a blast, you know. And there's always going to be difficulties, but like in the long run, it's the best. Like, it's not a job. It's literally the best thing ever.
That's so cool. I love how you went through the exercise of listing out your strengths and weaknesses. So, I mean, maybe for some of the viewers who are having some trouble in this area, would you suggest maybe having that may be a first step to the spouse to get their spouse involved? Say, hey, I want you to get involved more in the business. I want you to support, but I really want you to empower you to really contribute. And so let's list out our strengths and our weaknesses, and let's, chances are we're probably going to find some certain things that I'm really good at that you may not be as good at, and you're great at, and that I'm not as good at, and let's focus in on our strengths. Do you think that would be a good exercise?
Absolutely, and it's a fun exercise. It's one of those things where it is, like you said, it's empowering and it's freeing, because most of the time if you're good at something, you probably like to do it, for the most part. I would say, like, Eric's a good golfer. He probably enjoys golfing.
He's pretty good.
He's all right, I guess. But you know what I mean? So it's like, it's one of those things where if you can be doing what you like to do, like my brother-in-law loves to organize finances and run reports and do numbers, and that's his thing. He's happy there. Right, but so like the day-to-day monotony of life is not monotonous anymore. It's fun. It's really, really fun. But like you said, Eric, you have to take the time to do that. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, let's sit down and hammer this out right now. Let's take an hour. And if you can't, we couldn't, there were some of them that were like, let's take a few minutes and think about it and come back. And we would regroup and come back a week later and say this. And then I would say, once the spouse gets involved in the business, then go to another level and say, what's your strength within Isagenix? Not just in life. Oh, you're a good leader, but what's your strength? Are you bomb at launch parties? Okay, you're going to start traveling. You're going to do a tour, the Ross Thompson tour. Or do you love closing? Okay, I'm going to just hammer you out on three-way calls. We're going to get the assistant to schedule everything, and then you get really efficient there, and it's fun. It's so fun. When you're working in your element, it's fun.
Yeah, and I think it's like, you have to throw the ego aside.
Yeah.
And that's just marriage. Anybody that's married understands that, like, ego is struggle, because it's like, you're constantly having these battles, and then you become business partners, right? So you're together all the time, especially when you're both doing Isagenix full time. Okay, now you've added more, possibility for just, a struggle. So I think it's just realize what your spouse's strengths are, and it's okay to say, hey, Danny, she's phenomenal on stage. She's an amazing trainer. And you have to throw the ego aside to say, you're so good at that. I support you in that.
Yeah, good stuff. I think all couples, can really gain a lot of value from what you guys just said. And I think it's very fitting that you're sharing headphones.
We love it.
It's pretty cute.
Thanks. That was our goal.
We're trying to be
cute. Okay, so moving on, we always like to ask, I think one of the most crucial times when somebody's first getting is that kind of those first like 30 days when somebody's really getting involved in Isagenix, and they're saying, hey, I'm looking to do the business, I'm all about the products. How do you guys go about setting up your new people that are coming in their first 30 days for success, and really kind of stepping them into the system?
We do this differently, but I'll just say, shocking.
Again.
But what I utilize the tools, and I'm a tool junkie. I believe in them. I think they work. I don't deviate from them. I don't reinvent the wheel. I don't even have a website. Like, I'm not into that. Okay, so I'm really, really, really big on startyourlife.com, isagenixbusiness.com. No deviation. Everybody gets the same thing. I'm also huge on the new associate interview. It's everything that I have them like plastered up everywhere, because it just develops a standard. It's like this compass where you go, okay, this is how hard I'm going to push you. Because one of the biggest mistakes I see that people make, especially in the first 30 days, is impressing their goals on other people. So you have to take out, I love it if you're this world changer and you want to go and kick butt in Isagenix and be in the top 10, like, more power to you. But you might get somebody that just wants to honestly, get their shakes paid for. You have to meet them where they're at. In the same regard, if you've got somebody that says they want to be that world changer, but they're not acting like it, and they're not doing the tasks that you set forth, such as go to isagenixbusiness.com and complete all of the steps, watch all of the videos, fill out all of the information, get back to me within 72 hours, and they're not doing that, you realize that you're not going to take them as seriously as somebody else. So for me, I like to quantify things. I'm all about quantifying things. So it's like you said you wanted to make this much, and this is the behavior that you have, and they don't mesh. So we have those conversations, but I give them all that information really early on. Like I lay it on super thick in the beginning, and then like we have the IsaPulse app, and so you can see who's taking action. So I don't go, I give them the information, I give them the tools, I set them up for success really early on, and then I'm prospecting. I've got people to enroll. So I'm not sitting there going, hey, did you call your 2 people today? No, you know what you need to do, and this is what's going to happen. And if you're doing it, I'll get the notification, so it's all good. And then I get to, celebrate you and applause and all that. But that's kind of how I do it. Russ, what would you say?
Yeah, I think we're similar in one respect that it's all about the tools. I would agree. I usually send them to startyourlife.com just because I love the way that there's like the numbers, it's all laid out there, and there's a lot of links that they can click, and they literally go step for step. Yeah. I love that about it. And naturally, I'm going to be kind of biased to startyourlife.com, but aside from that, I try to keep it as simple as possible. I think a lot of people get overwhelmed because there's so many videos, and then they start to think about getting a consultant, and then they start already thinking about getting 10, and they go, oh, 10, and then they start thinking about how do you cycle 100 times, and then pretty soon they're so far ahead of themselves that they're doing the wrong things. And so what I like to do is I'm like, your first step is to get 2 people, literally, and we'll have another conversation once that happens, and then that's it. And then they go find 2 people, and I go, don't even worry about, you don't have to know everything. Watch a few videos, but you're not called to know everything at this point. And so they get 2, they come back to me, I show them how to enroll them, and then we work on getting those 2 people too. And then from there, it's really important that it's all about enrollments. In the beginning, it's literally all about enrollments, because the problem is people a lot of times they find their 2, and they come to you, they're all excited, you're excited, and they're obviously going to get the consultant, but then they automatically assume that those 2 people are going to do the same thing. And that's where they get hung up, and they're like, they can't understand why does this person not want to get 2? Well, maybe because they just want to be a product user. Maybe they don't have the desire to get paid like you do. So it's all about just playing the numbers game and pushing enrollments. And so I'm just like, look, all you have to worry about, go out and talk to as many people as you can, and then from there I'll help you figure it out. And then from there I focus, okay, now you're at manager, now we look at director. I don't even talk about executive. So I think it's just for me, I just try to keep it as simple as possible.
Perfect. So I love the just step by step. You're stepping people into consultant, then you're stepping people into manager, taking it step by step. I love what you said about just don't count on the 2 people that you get started to go find 2 right away. I mean, it's in the beginning. 83% of all people in Isagenix, they're just product users, and they're never going to go out and enroll somebody. That's just the numbers that we know. And 17% of people in Isagenix have actually gone out and enrolled somebody else. And so I think that's critical that you hit on that. That it may not be your first 2 people that go find 2, but
Yep.
If you keep enrolling people, you're going to find somebody that wants to go find 2. And then the new associate interview, new associate checklist. If you're not familiar with that, go to isagenixbusiness.com. It's on the Start Here button, and then go down to Follow Up and Enroll, and it's right there. This is a huge theme within Isagenix right now that is really, really, really working. As Danielle said, I mean, you're not, laying your goals on that person and what you want that person's goals to be. They're telling you what their goals are going to be, which, and then you can just hold them accountable, which I think is massive. Now, something I just want to go ahead.
I just want to get back on that really quick because something just came up in my brain. Okay, so if you're hearing this and you're like, okay, I'm going to give this to my people, take it a step further. And what's really cool, fill it out yourself. Even if you're serious and you know your goals and whatever, and if you have somebody to give it to, great. And you have somebody that's a really supportive upline, send it to them. Just say, hey, you know what? I heard that we were supposed to do this. We can't assume that everybody's seen it and that, so you fill it out before you tell your people to fill it out and get real clear on what you want to do. And then, post it in your room, on your refrigerator. It's really important. And we fill it out regularly. Like, we continually fill it out because we have to continually know what are our standards, what are our goals this month, this week, this quarter, this year. So fill it out. Okay.
And I'll add something.
Okay.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. But like the best thing, just like it's so fun to celebrate somebody else hitting a goal, you can use that new associate interview to do the same.
Yeah.
Like if somebody says, oh, I want to make $100,000 residual income, when they hit 3-star, or somewhere in there, you can pull it back out because sometimes they forget about it, and you go, hey, remember when you said this? And you can screenshot it or whatever, send it to them.
That's awesome.
And it's kind of like, it's always good to know sometimes they forget what they wrote down. And it's like, then they have this epiphany of wow, I did it.
I can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's massive. I think that's great. And I think that a huge takeaway for everybody watching now is if you haven't filled out the new associate interview yourself, go fill it out. And I think some stuff's going to come up, for you as you start to fill that stuff out. It's going to be really, really powerful. And it's going to empower you to, share that with new members that you're bringing in. So one thing I just want to touch on is you guys, you enrolled Kayla Kraft, who is, again, an Isagenix millionaire. She's rocking it out. And so we just kind of talked about this system that you kind of guide people through in their first 30 days. Basically, you chances are you probably guided Kayla Kraft through this same exact system that you guide somebody else through, but the other person may have just ended up doing jack squat. They may have not done anything, but sometimes we go through this system with people and they're not doing jack squat, and we think it's the system's issue. And
it's good.
And now we've just taken Kayla Kraft through the first 30 days, and all of a sudden she's, millionaire in 3 years. So can you just kind of talk about that and how that was the same thing that you brought Kayla through? And because I know we had a question on the page about, how do I inspire people to stay at consultant? And in my view, you shouldn't have to inspire anybody to stay at consultant. It should be the person's decision if they want to, advance in rank. So just kind of touch on that.
When you say inspire to stay at consultant, I cringe because our desire to be at executive is not necessarily their desire to stay at consultant. We just talked about the amount of product users we have because we have great products. Like, rest in that. That's awesome. That's a super cool company to be in. But the reality is there's going to be a lot of people who want the $150 rebate back if they sign up to 30 days, and that's it. And they'll float in and out of consultant. So just know that if you're going to executive, you get 10 consultants, you're going to do that again. We always are like, let's run to executive again. Let's run to executive again. We're constantly doing these. Let's pop 10 consultants in 90 days. Let's do this. Just like we did in the beginning, we put that heat on. And that's not every 90 days, but we have those seasons where we're like, we're going to go hard, knowing that they're going to come and go. So I don't inspire anybody to stay at consultant. I like to keep people active. I think that's really, great, because if they, you go to Trader Joe's and buy something and they're not going to pay you for buying $100 a month, in product. So Isagenix does that. That everybody, I'm like, just take the money they're putting on the table, take the money, we'll cash out later. That's good. I get that. But as a whole, you deliver the information, you're available, but I don't handhold, and I'm not banging people over the head, and we take a really, in that regard, a hands-off approach, and I know exactly, and that's what I love, because there's the the new customer interview and the new associate interview. There's two, so if somebody's just going to be a product user, they can fill out that form, and then it kind of goes into that and kind of says do you want to get your products paid for? And if they say no, leave it there. Send me your referrals. I'd love to have them. Enjoy your products. They're fabulous. I don't get hung up on that. How about you? What do you do?
Yeah, it's the same. It's you hit the nail on the head. Like, you can't assume that everybody's on the same has the same aspirations as you do. You know, you want to get to executive, but they might have just signed up 2 people just because you told them to. They might not want what you want. And also, it's like, that's okay. It's okay if they just want to be an associate. Like, as you go further in your business, you realize that you have a lot of associates. And, like, that's a lot of your business. That's a lot of BV. They're still valuable. Just because they're not a consultant for you, if they drop off, they're still valuable. You never know where they're going to be in the future. They might make that decision to, like, really jump in. And also, like, if you want them to stay a consultant, you know, which I hate really even saying that because it's like that makes it kind of selfish, but run them further right off the bat. You know, I think a lot of people go, oh, you hit consultant, congratulations, see you later. And it's like,
There's
no.
one of my 10.
Yeah, there's 110, but it's like chances of you getting all other 9 before that one falls off are slim because they've only hit one of those 2 people they enrolled doesn't order, all of a sudden they fall off, and then you're just like, oh, what happened? But really, it's like, run them to manager. Keep going right off the bat. Don't let go of them until they decide, hey, you know, when you see them kind of back off, then it's like you said, that's where they're at, and meet everybody where they're at, and just like, it's okay. You don't have to like be upset when somebody doesn't stay at consultant. It's okay, but like, run them further and don't lose your momentum right off the bat just because they hit consultant. Like, go to manager, and manager is really a big step.
And that was one of the skills I learned when I started to develop my approach and really believing in the products and the value that comes with the larger packs. I know this is off the subject, but it totally relates. I had a hard time, so I would say, like he just said, take them to manager. In the same respect, I would have a hard time going, here's the business builders pack or here's the president's pack, because I felt like they should just have a 30-day. But once I realized how much success they would have with that greater pack and how much success they would have, somebody's going to be more committed. If they're going to rock out $820 in their first 30 days, they're in. They're going to stay consultant. They might not stay manager. They might not go, you know, to the top, but they're going to stay consultant. Heck yes, they are. So if somebody orders a president's pack, they're probably going to be ordering 150 to 200 BV every month. I mean, they're hooked on those sticky products, the bars and Isodelites and whatnot. So having that like understanding that if you just go a little bit further and have that confidence, just try it out, see you know how it feels. You'll see the results, and they're very, very fast, and you can see them in your business.
Huge. I mean, these are all such powerful points. You know, and like you said, I mean, the higher the pack, like a President's pack, it just shows. I mean, we have the highest retention in Isagenix on that pack because people are just getting a better experience. And I think it's like for people who are earning $250 a month, basically getting their product paid for, it's like a 93% retention rate that we have in Isagenix because nobody's going to ever go off the products if they're getting their products paid for. So stepping them through those ranks, but also realizing again that we talked about, you know, we talked about putting them people through that system in your first 30 days, you know, sending them to isagenixbusiness.com, clicking on the Start Here button, going through the new associate checklist, showing them the tools, showing them startyourlife.com, you know, getting their goals, all that stuff. You're going to enroll a bunch of people who are going to come in and you put them through that stuff, and they may not do anything. But again, it's not the system's fault. But then a Kayla Kraft might come along, and she's a rocket ship, and she just goes for it. And I think that's the power of that. So, okay. So next question I want to ask you guys is, obviously being, you know, you've been around Isagenix for 4 years, newest Isagenix millionaires. I'm sure you've learned just so much along the way. And if there was like somebody at the beginning of your journey that were just to say something to you, basically saying, hey, just spend way less time. Like I've seen your journey. Like I can foreshadow, and I see your journey 4 years from now. And the biggest advice I can give you is spend less time doing this, like way less time, and then spend more time doing this. What would those 2 things kind of look like?
I think first I would not get hung up on no's. A lot of times people take things very personally, and you can't. You have to say, if you got an answer no, that means you did your job and you presented the information. So you're awesome. And you shared the opportunity. So that's first off, because I just think a lot of people get like hung up on it. It's like, you're like, oh, that stinks. But don't sweat that stuff. Keep talking about it. And then it's weird. So with us, it's been 4 years, and I feel like every year there's been something really huge and impactful that has changed, and it's taken us to another level. And I wish that I could, kind of put it all into a weekend. And that's kind of what UIA does. But basically, like, there was a moment where in the beginning I was just like, let's just grab it up. There's all this money and we're just going to take it. And like, I don't know if it's going to be here for very long. I'm not really sure. I haven't done the research, but I'm getting paid for talking. And so yes, let's do this. But I didn't have like the belief I believed in the company, but I didn't understand the industry. And then there was this point where I just went, okay, I need to study this. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm a smart girl. Like, why does this look like this? Why is this happening? And I studied it, and I went, oh, this is a real, very legitimate business model. It works. It's incredible. It's been around for a very long time. It's sustainable. This is not something that you're going to just say, oh, we'll milk it while it's there. No, it's sustainable. You can count on it. When you take the right steps, etc. And so there was that point. And then, just last December, I had this kind of aha moment where I realized how important, this is kind of embarrassing, but I realized how important personal development was. And in the past, I always thought, and I judged people on it, like I thought personal development was horrible because I thought it was so selfish. Like, you're just sitting here and you're working on yourself, and for what? Why not go out there and give and, be what you were intended to be? And people would say, I'm reading this book and on personal development, and I would just like turn my nose up. I'm like, you got to get out there and get to work. Like, that's not how you should be. You should be giving of yourself. And then this breakthrough came in my life, and I went, oh, if you develop yourself, you can give more back. You're filling yourself up. And it sounds, I'm like, I know. I think I'm a pretty, like, I'm a kind of with it gal. I read a lot and stuff. And so to have that, it was, first off, incredibly humbling. I had to, like, apologize to people and say, I'm sorry for judging you. And the growth that's occurred in our business and in our personal lives. And, I just can't even tell you. So if I were to say, don't waste time, don't pout about the no's, and go out there and build your belief in network marketing and work on your personal development. And the way to do that is through UIA. If somebody comes into my business and I'm talking, they want to make $500 a month. I'm like, here are the dates, book your ticket. I'll meet you there. I'll go with you. Everybody's going to UIA because it takes what I learned. It took us 4 years to really, solidify in 2.5 days. It's like, that's a no-brainer. Like, you guys could become a millionaire a lot quicker than us.
Yeah, I agree.
So Danielle, for you, so basically it's spend less time on, worrying about the no's, and then also, really investing and taking the time to build your belief, whether that be through, reading self-development books or attending a University in Action or any event for that matter. I think that's going to build your belief through the roof. So, okay, awesome. Yeah. Go ahead, Ross.
Yeah, I think for me it's less time getting ready, preparing, and more time doing. And I know that sounds super cliche.
I love it.
But I think it's just like part of doing is failing. And I think that's what people don't understand. It's like they think doing is when you get the enrollment. No. Part of doing is talking to somebody and totally just messing the whole thing up. That's okay, And I think a lot of people I've talked to in the START group, they're like, I've read this, like, and it's self-development is a huge part of it. But if you're not translating that and just messing up and learning how to have people skills and not just sitting at home and watching every podcast there is, then it doesn't matter in the business. Now, you might be a better person and more confident for it, which is probably more important. But if you're worried about like how to grow your income, you need to grow your people skills. And the only way to really grow your people skills is to be around people. So like being in your home for 8 hours, if you want to commit 8 hours a day to working, or whatever it is that you do, 4, 12, whatever, and you're sitting there and you're like, hey, I know everything about every product, that's great, but you haven't made any money because you haven't developed any people skills. And just getting out there and getting uncomfortable and like hanging around new people, that's all part of it. And then the more you do that, the better you are at it. So I think it's just stop getting ready to get ready and just get out there and just start making mistakes. And then you'll realize you're making less and less mistakes. And then pretty soon you're good at it. And you're like, wow, that was pretty cool.
That's powerful. I mean, so would you define an example of getting ready to get ready, trying to like master like scripts on what to say and like, oh gosh, I have to go out and talk exactly like Lynn Hagedorn or, you know, Emily and Hayden Baver or Ross and Danielle. I mean,
right.
Before I'm going to go talk to people, I have to like know exactly what to say. So you're saying that's getting ready to get ready.
Absolutely. And I think in Isagenix, one of the hardest things is you see people that, like when we came in, we had people that we looked at as you want to be like those people. And that's important. It's like, oh, I want to be like Eric, you know? And like I got to talk like Eric. And I got to know everything Eric knows. Or is that just not the case?
No.
You know, it's like, because when Eric started, Eric had to just go out there and just start doing it. And I think, you know, with the script, the goal of the script is not to like go out there and act like a robot.
Right.
And then know the script. It's about like, it's just a tool to make you feel more confident in yourself to where you can go out there and you just start talking to people, you know, and then the script becomes your own. And when that happens, then you're you know, unstoppable.
Yeah, and I think a big point is, you know, a lot of times we see people at events, maybe it's a trainer on stage talking about, you know, how to connect better with people and how to opening lines and all that stuff. And that's honestly the biggest feedback we get at all of our events is I want more training on what to say to people. And so we'll provide the training. We'll tell, like, we'll give people the opening lines and stuff. Or let's say Emily and Hayden are up there and they're sharing what they say to people. The person's taking notes and they're saying, okay, I'm gonna go out and say that to somebody, and all of a sudden it didn't work. And what may work, exactly, what may work for Emily and Hayden is awesome, but it may not work for you because it's not coming from an authentic place and it's not really you. And so I love what you're saying, Ross, is about just getting out there and doing it, finding out, you know, fall all over your words, mess up, fail. And then by doing it over and over again, you're going to find out what works, what doesn't work, and you're going to find your niche and how to connect authentically as you.
Yeah, and just like, I think just to touch on that, like being you is the most important. Like saying it in Hayden's way, as much as I wish I was like Hayden.
Me too.
You know, I mean, everybody does. But like saying it in Hayden's way, especially if it's somebody that knows you, like you said, it's going to be kind of weird for that person because they're going to be like, what? Dude, just talk to me. Talk to me like you're you. You know what I mean? And so it's like whoever you are, whatever you like, whatever your hobbies are, whoever you know, they know who you are, those people. And so it's like stick with that because that's your tool. Your biggest tool is being yourself. And as long as people feel like you're being authentic with them, they'll go all in with you.
Yeah.
Like it. Great stuff. Okay, so just to kind of wrap up here, what you guys mentioned, you know, personal development's huge for you guys. What top books do you recommend? Like, if I'm brand new and saying, hey, what are 2 books that you're like, you guys got to read this? It'll totally add value, and not only personally, but maybe in network marketing. What do you guys like?
Well, I am going to talk. This should be network marketing because this book that I've been reading, I like carry them in my purse, and nobody knows what it is, but it's amazing, and I brought it out here because I wanted to show you. It's called The Willpower Instinct, and it's by Kelly McGonigal.
Awesome.
So this book is cool. So Ross and I are ultra runners, so we're like everything is a mind game to us, whether it's work or parenting or, you know, eating right or working out, doesn't matter. It's all mental. So this book really focuses on again, I like neuroscience, so it gets into the prefrontal cortex of the brain and why, you know, we do the things that we do. But the point is this: if somebody comes into my business and they want to lose 50 pounds, if somebody comes into my business and they want to try to, beat the odds and really rise above in their career and do something that matters. It all goes back to self-control and willpower and discipline, always. So I give this book out, and it's really cool the way it's structured. You only do a chapter a week because that's what you can handle, honestly. And it goes into meditative exercises and why that's important, and breathing, and it's even down to the point where you talk about connecting. We're also just talking about connecting, and to the point where she teaches you how to have a skill set in shutting your mouth and just listening, and not just being that person that has to talk all the time. And so self-control is such a underrated skill. And so that's my thing right now. And I'm obsessed with it. I don't know, what's yours? I brought a bunch of these. We have a lot.
Yeah, she stole mine.
Maxwell fans. We give this.
Love John Maxwell.
Yeah.
Jim Rohn. I give this to everybody. It's a DVD. It's
so
really
good. So good.
So good. It's so good.
Can't beat Jim Rohn.
No, you can't. So
hold that one up. Hold that one up one more time so everybody can see it.
Sorry, I'm flashing it. Okay, there you go.
Building
this
your
is
network.
so good. You go to Amazon and you get 20, and then you just give them out.
Jim Rohn's really good. It's hard to say there's one that's better. I think it's just everybody has their preference, And if you start reading and you feel yourself really relating and changing, then it's probably the right book.
Yeah.
And John, there's 80 something John Maxwell books, so you can pick any of them and they're all going to be good. I would suggest any of those. He really, I love his book. There's one, How Successful People Think, and it just will kind of get your mind to the place of what's different. If you're not where you want to be, it's like how does this, somebody that is successful, how do they think? And it's not, and then you learn how to be yourself and to do that. And so John Maxwell, he keeps it really basic, and again, that's what I like.
Eric Worre is really good. We love Eric Worre. Why is it evading me?
GoPro.
No, yes, I love GoPro, but I was thinking about the oh my gosh.
You got me.
No, it's the video we send people. I can't think of it.
Rise of the Entrepreneur.
I'm human. I can't think of it. Yeah, Rise of the Entrepreneur. I love that, which kind of coincides with the 4-year career. That's another book. So if we talk about people that have just gone to school and done this and that, so cater it to who wants to hear it. Just like when we go to icemovie.com, it's like you better know those like the back of your hand first off, and then direct them to what will speak to them. Because if I get somebody that comes in and they want to lose 100 pounds, I'm not going to send them to a video with these supermodels that look amazing. But if I have one that is coming in and she is an athlete, that's where I'm going to send it. So you just have to know your stuff. And we don't want you to sit behind your computer and watch podcasts or listen to podcasts and watch videos all day. But the fundamentals and the absolute basics, you better know like the back of your hand, so you can just spout them off fast. Because the more efficient you are in your workday, the more efficient you are in getting somebody that tool, the more prospecting you're doing, the more enrolling you're doing, and that's the lifeblood of your business.
Great. Well, you guys have just given us so much value tonight and inspiration, and we're just so grateful for you guys. Can't thank you enough for your leadership. I know everybody tuning in tonight. We got hundreds of people listening live. This is really exciting on isagenixlive.com. I know the chat's going crazy right now, and I know, Danielle, you're going to be on stage at Celebration doing a keynote with Kayla Kraft.
I'm excited.
What's your topic?
We're talking about connecting on social media. It's going to be really fun, so you guys have to make it in there for that.
For sure. We will all be there, definitely, and thanks for you guys for your leadership, and congrats again on being the newest millionaires and for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Bye, everyone. See you in San Diego.
See you guys.